Good evening, everyone. We are live now.
Yes, good evening.
Tarun, over to you.
Good evening, friends. I am Tarun Kumar, practicing chartered accountant. I welcome you all to today's webinar organized by Taxman. The topic for the day is new law of assessment and reassessment in such and other cases. It's my pleasure that I have been given the responsibility to introduce the learned speakers and give a brief of today's topic. Thereafter, I'll hand over the session to our esteemed speakers, Dr. Rajkumar Agrawal and Dr. Rakesh Gupta. Although Raj sir and Rakesh sir don't need any sort of introduction, but still as a custom, I'm giving a brief of their profile. Dr. Raj Agrawal is a practicing advocate at Delhi High Court. He has wide experience of handling income tax search cases and has poured his practical experience into the form of a well-researched book. He has been associated with the academic activities of the ICAI, representing various committees of the institute. He has been contributing articles and addressing various seminars on topics relating to the income tax, accounting, and auditing. Dr. Rakesh Gupta is a practicing advocate representing income tax cases before various high courts and before the Supreme Court of India. He is a prolific speaker and has been contributing to the profession by addressing various seminars on a regular basis on legal and practical topics relating to income tax. He has been contributing articles on various professional magazines, writing a column in newspapers, and making appearances on TV channels. I welcome Dr. Rajkumar Agrawal and Dr. Rakesh Gupta.
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you.
Here are a few tips for attendees. Your mic is on mute. You may post your queries in the chat box on your right-hand side. Speakers will take up your queries post-session, and Taxman's research and advisory team will answering to your queries during the session in the chat box. Friends, the Finance Act 21 has made a paradigm shift in the law of reassessments. There is a change in the basis on which the reassessment can be done. Earlier, the assessing officer was empowered to assess or reassess the income when he has reasons to believe that the income has escaped assessment. But the new scheme provides that assessing officer can initiate the proceedings if he has the information which suggests that the some income has escaped assessment. The most welcome thing I have noticed in the scheme is that the procedure to be followed by the assessing officer before issuance of notice has been incorporated in the Act itself in the newly inserted Section 148 capital A. Although there are certain open challenges in the new scheme as well, another question arises, what shall be considered as an information suggesting that the income has escaped assessment? So the law provides that any information flagged in the case of assessee as per the risk management strategy to be formulated by the CBDT, or any final objections raised by the CAG, or any search, survey, or requisition cases initiated against the assessee shall constitute the information suggesting that the income has escaped assessment. The question that comes to my mind, like how this risk management strategy will be formed and which information can be flagged by CBDT. Another issue is objections raised by the CAG will become the basis of reassessment. We have numerous court rulings which suggest that the reassessment proceedings only based on the audit objections, be it internal audit or the department or the CAG, is legally invalid. The last point which I would like to highlight is the department has reduced the time limits to open the reassessment cases to 3 years from the 6 years earlier. If the escaped income is more than rupees 50 lakhs, then the limit is 10 years. Interestingly, they have also inserted an explanation to clarify that the notice under 148 cannot be issued after 1st April 21 if such notice could not have been issued on account of being beyond the time limit of 6 years. The question comes, can the department issue notices for the assessment year 13-14 or 14-15 today? Legally, the answer is no. But they have issued a notification extending the time limits to issue various notices up to 30th June 21. To my mind, this notification ultra-violates the provisions of the Act. And recently, the Honorable Bombay High Court stayed the proceedings initiated under Section 148, wherein petitioner had challenged the
The voice has gone.
Tarun, your voice.
Tarun, your voice has gone, so I mean, let us take over the reins and.
Yes, sir, you may please continue.
Okay. So I would request Raj sir to open the deliberations, then I will Yes.
Thank you, Tarun, for introducing us. In fact, today's webinar which we are holding on the topic new assessment and reassessment procedure, which has been introduced for the purpose of search cases, and reassessment procedure, which has been overhauled by making a full change in the section 148 of the earlier section of the Income Tax Act. Rakesh sir would discuss the issues emanating out of the changes which have been made in detail, and he's, as you all know, is a prolific speaker. But before I hand over the mic to him, I will just discuss regarding the rationale which can be stated to be there regarding bringing such a drastic change in the scheme of reassessment and the scheme of assessment procedure of the search cases. Now, with this amendment, section 153A and 153B and 153C, which were specific sections for making assessment or reassessment in the case of search cases, have been withdrawn. And now all the cases, whether the search cases, survey cases, or otherwise, for escapement of income reassessment to be made, would be done as per the provisions of section 148. Any special provision for the purpose of survey or search cases have been incorporated in the amended section of in the amended section 148 itself. So far as the rationale is concerned, the stated rationale is that the earlier system was not effective and very efficient. There used to be delays in proceedings, in assessment. But to my mind, if we go into the real cause due to which the assessment and reassessment procedure for the search cases has been amended, or now it has been combined along with 148, one thing that the time limit for making the assessment and reassessment for such cases was reduced as per the earlier amendments made to a large extent, and the latest, as per the latest time limit, it was 12 months from the end of the financial year in which search is held. For example, in case income tax search is held in the month of March, then right from the conducting the search till the proceedings of the investigation department for making the appraisal and for making the assessment of all the 7 years would be only 12 months available with the assessing officer. Probably this time limit was not sufficient enough, and therefore now the provision has been clubbed with 148 and a special provision has been withdrawn. In the new provision, in the new amended provision of 148, assessing officer will have time limit from 3 years up to 10 years, as the case may be, depending upon the situation, and cases for different years can be reopened in different years. It is not necessary that all 7 years assessments have to be taken up all together. Rather, year to year basis, assessing officer can reopen the cases. So this can be one reason why the amendment has been made, or what that may be one objective, one rationale. Secondly, one can say that the judicial interpretation of section 153 and 153C, which was being made, was little bit tilted towards or in favor of the assessees. Maybe that the department does not want the interpretation to be in that manner, and therefore they were contesting in the High Courts and Supreme Court for all the decisions which were in favor of the assessees. And instead of waiting for the decision of the highest courts, they have decided to make the amendment in the Act itself. Another point which can be said in this regard is that now the time limit has been increased to 10 years, because earlier only prior 6 years cases could have been reopened in the search cases. Now under 148, this period of 6 years has been reduced to 3 years, but at the same time it has been extended to 10 years also in those cases where the escapement of income is more than 50 lakh rupees. So now practically in such cases, the amount of 50 lakhs is not a, I mean, major amount. Generally, the escapement of income may be there to this extent. So therefore, in such cases, the time limit would indirectly be got extended from 6 years till 10 years. So, I mean, the department may get sufficient time to look into and analyze whatever the evidences have been found in as a consequence of search, and then make assessment. Up to 10 years, the assessment may be dragged, assessment may be carried on by the department. So this may be the rationale, or we can say that the department wanted for to achieve these kind of objectives to make the amendment which has been introduced. Now I would request Rakesh ji to kindly discuss the provisions in detail, giving the issues which are emanating, controversial issues which are emanating, and what can be the possible interpretation of various issues. Rakesh ji.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Raj. I mean, with whom I am the co-author of this book, the 7th edition of which is coming very soon from Taxman, law relating to search and seizure and the assessment of search cases. In fact, when Finance Act 2021, I mean, brought overhaul to the search assessment, and while writing the 7th edition, when me and Dr. Raj stumbled upon certain interesting issues, I mean, that created, I mean, more interest of ours. And I'm seeing the kind of questions our viewers are flagging in the chat box. They are of very interesting, they are very interesting questions, and then we would like to deal with them. But then prior to that, a little bit about the provisions of this law. So 2021 Finance Act has rewritten the provisions of reassessment by introducing new sections in place of the earlier existing sections 147, 148, 149, and 151, and a new section 148 capital A now has also been inserted. So first of all, the new provision says that if any income chargeable to tax in the case of an SSE for any assessment year has escaped assessment, then the assessing officer, subject to the observance, adherence of the provisions of section 148 to 153, can assess or reassess or recompute the loss of that assessment year or that previous year relevant to that assessment year, and that assessment year will be called the relevant assessment year. So earlier phrase, the reason to believe, earlier, if you remember, under section 147, there used to be a phrase that if an assessing officer had reason to believe that income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. So reason to believe phrase, which used to control the possibility of any arbitrary exercise of this power to reopen a concluded assessment, now that has been taken away by under the new section 147. But then rest of the elements of inviting section 147, that there has to be income, that income should not be an income simpliciter, it should be income chargeable to tax, and that income chargeable to tax must have escaped assessment in respect of this SSE for this assessment year. Only then the assessing officer can bring to tax such escaped income. So the question comes as to why the legislature has sought to enact such special provisions for reopening of the assessment. And for that, we'll have to go back to the philosophy of the assessment. The law, or the legislature for that matter, has accorded a very sanctified status of an assessment made. and the assessment is considered final, and in case the law says that finality is sought to be breached or is sought to be pierced or sought to be disturbed by the assessing officer, then in that situation the legislature, being the custodian of the taxpayers' rights, also now tried to ensure by making these kind of provisions that the reopening of an assessment, that to have concluded assessment, can be made only subject to the observance and adherence of certain statutory safeguard provision. And earlier, as I said a little while ago, that there used to be one phrase, reason to believe, and that phrase, I mean, you can very well appreciate the severity or the importance of that phrase, because this very phrase, reason to believe, is there also along with section 132, I mean, which is a much more which is a section with much more draconian consequence, that is the power of search. So the parameter of reason to believe which is there in case of the search, I mean, that was kept by the legislature for the purpose of reopening of a concluded assessment. But this Finance Act 2021 has consigned that phrase to the Arabian Ocean, I mean, if I am permitted to say, the lighter vein, and now it has been replaced in a way, not in section 147, but then it has been made operative in section 148 by the phrase that income that suggests, or information that suggests, that income chargeable to tax as escaped assessment. So reason to believe now has given way to information suggesting escapement of income. Now what is the effect? What would be the effect of that? Whether that is good or that is not good. If it is good, whether it is good for the assessing officers, or if it's not good, whether it's not good for the assessee, I mean, we will discuss. So assessing officer can bring to tax any income which was chargeable to tax, but then which has escaped assessment. But of course, after observing the principles, I mean, after observing the statutory safeguard which are there in these provisions. Then one explanation which has been added, though major portion of this explanation earlier was in the main section itself, but then main section was creating some sort of problems as interpreted by the courts, and therefore the legislature considered in its wisdom to create one explanation to section 147 to provide that kind of a situation. And this says that for the purpose of assessment or reassessment or recomputation under section 147, then the assessing officer may assess or reassess any income in respect of an issue, now which has escaped assessment, and such issue comes to his notice during the course when he is seized with the reassessment proceeding of some other income. Then the assessing officer may assess or reassess even such income in respect of such issue which has escaped assessment. So this explanation has been made in order to overcome the decisions of the Bombay High Court in Jet Airways, the Delhi High Court in Ranbaxy, and also Bombay High Court in Metro Auto Corporations. Because if you remember, third proviso was inserted under the SOIL section 147 in order to overcome the decision of Metro Auto. In Metro Auto, the Bombay High Court had said that if there is an appeal for any year, then that year's assessment or reassessment cannot be done. Therefore, in order to overcome the impact of that decision, third proviso was added that the case of that year can be reopened, but then the matter which is pending in appeal before the appellate authority, now with respect to that matter, case cannot be reopened. Now even that also started creating problem, and therefore they have further diluted and refined it to the issue, because in one matter there can be several facets or facets of the issues. So therefore the legislature in its wisdom, in order to overcome all those kind of hurdles which arose as a result of the interpretations by the courts, now this explanation has been worded in this manner. Because if you remember, in case of Jet Airways and Ranbaxy, the honorable courts interpreted the word also on this premise that if the legislature has used one word, then it cannot be made otiose, and therefore also honorable court said in those decisions presupposes that the addition must have been made in respect of that many case was reopened. So now in this explanation, now what has been provided, that whether the case or whether the addition is made on the point for which there was information suggesting escapement of income or not, But then while proceeding with that information, if an assessing officer comes across to any income in respect of an issue, now which has also escaped assessment, then irrespective of the fate of the main issue, now assessing officer can reassess or assess this income also in this assessment year. So this is the impact of that. So, but then first issue, I mean, which has been flagged by taxmen, is about the new provisions, the assessment of the search cases. As Raj sir, my partner and my co-author, now has said that earlier there was the provision of section 153A. But then let us go a little back. From 1/7/1995, or if I say it like this, that till 30th June 1995, if there was any search, then the assessment of such search cases used to be done depending upon the discovery of any incriminating material, and based upon which the belief of escapement of income used to be formed, and the normal assessment of that year with respect to which the evidence had been found used to be made. But from 1/7/1995, a wholesale change into the methodology of the search assessment was made by inserting one special chapter, chapter 14B, and providing that now the assessment of the search cases will be made in case of those searches which have taken place on or after 1st July 1995, I mean, to be in the block period of 10 years. And there was a special tax rate which was prescribed. Then later on, that 10 years block period was reduced to 6 years. But then in 2003, again, the amendment was made, bringing substantial change in the modus and the methodology of the assessment of search cases. And in respect of any search taking place on or after 1st June 2003, or taking place after 31st May 2003, then chapter 14B search assessments were discontinued, and new sections, as Raj sir also told, section 153A, 153B, 153C, and 153D were enacted to take care of the assessments as a result of the search taking place after this date. Now, having dealt assessments of the search for almost 16 or 17 years, from 2003, I mean, till 2021, the legislature, in its wisdom, but not very explicit sound reasoning, has again rewritten the law insofar as the assessment of the search case is concerned. So in case of search, now what has been made the provision that the preceding 3 years assessment now will mandatorily be made, and that too on this presumption, by creating a deeming fiction that these 3 years will be the years in which it will be assumed and it will be deemed that there is information suggesting escapement of income, even if there may or may not be any incriminating material or adverse material found as a result of search. But then preceding 3 years assessment now will be done under the new reassessment provisions under section 148 and under section 147. So in case of search, preceding 3 years assessment will mandatorily be done, like in case of section 153A earlier. In case of search, preceding 6 years assessment used to be done mandatorily, though few years back that period in certain situations were expanded from 6 years to 9 years, though the legislature mentioned the word 10 years, but that the 10 year was inclusive of the year of search. Therefore 9 years preceding assessment used to be made or could have been made, but then the assessment beyond 6 years till 9 years, I mean, could have been done in certain situations when the escapement of income or the undisclosed income or the evidences of the undisclosed income suggested undisclosed character of income of 50 lakhs or more. But anyway, so we will take that earlier under 153A, 6 preceding years used to be assessed mandatorily. Now under new section 148, read with section 147, in case of search, preceding 3 years assessment now will have to be made. Now in case of the other assessments, the normal assessments, now there is a provision of conducting inquiry under section 148A. But in case of search, or in case where requisition of books of accounts, documents, or money, etc., have been made under section 132A, or in case of those persons now whose money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or things or books of account belonging to them or pertaining to them or any information relating to them have been found in case of search, then for these kind of persons also that provisions of section 148A now will not be applicable. So this is a second provision which will affect the search assessment. The first is 3 preceding years assessment will invariably be made whether any incriminating material is found or not. Now beyond 3 years, the general provision which is applicable even in case of a non-search case, that if the escaped income or the likely escaped income is 50 lakhs or more, which is represented by asset, only that year's case would be reopened. And of course, I mean, that would mean that there has to be books of accounts or the documents or some evidence which is found as a result of search, now which indicates that the income which is escaped or which is likely to escape is rupees 50 lakhs or more, and which is represented by assets. Only in that situation, whether it is case of a search or a non-search case, the case can be reopened. But so far as 148A inquiry provisions are not applicable in case of the search assessment. So in case of search, I mean, this is the change. But then as I was discussing about the reassessment provisions in case of other cases, then it becomes essential for me, I mean, to discuss about the provisions under section 148 capital A. If you remember that under the erstwhile provision of section 147, 148, there was a judge-made law, and that judge-made law used to be known by the name of GK and Dreyfus, though their lordships are known for interpretation of law. But then sometimes by interpreting, I mean, some law in a very comprehensive manner, I mean, the lordships of the constitutional courts happen to make law. And GK and Dreyfus is one such instance which is considered to be the judge-made law. And the judge-made law was that whenever a notice under section 148 used to be served on a person, then the proper course of action for him was to file the return of income in response to that notice, seek copy of the reason recorded from the assessing officer, file his objections to the assessing officer, and then let the assessing officer pass the order disposing the objections. So this used to be the judge-made law. Now that judge-made law has been somewhat codified and legislated in the form of section 148 capital A. And since this is a new insertion and the codification according to me the old judge-made law, therefore we will discuss it with some length. So section 148A is a mandatory provision in case of the reassessment of cases other than the search cases, or in cases where section 132A a requisition has been made, or in case of that person whose books of accounts, documents, or money, bullion, jewelry have been found and recovered from somebody else's search. Otherwise, 148 is a mandate because the legislature has used the expression shall at every place. So section 148A consists of 4 small clauses, A, B, C, D. Now A says that the assessing officer shall conduct inquiry if required. If required means that in cases other than the search cases, in cases other than the 132A cases, in cases other than the cases of those persons now whose money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing, books of accounts or documents have been found in somebody else's search. So if required doesn't mean that it is at the discretion of the assessing officer. There is no discretion. Assessing officer is bound to make inquiry if it is not a search case, if it is not a requisition case, or if it is not a case of that kind of a person whose books of accounts, etc., have been found at somebody else's search. So assessing officer shall conduct inquiry with the prior approval of the specified authority. Now his hands are tied. He will have to go to the specified authority, and the specified authority is the authority of the sufficient higher rank, and then would have to tell him, of course, on record, that here is the information that suggests escapement of income. Now I want to make inquiry with respect to this information. So this is the mandatory condition precedent. The second condition or the second requirement, section 148A, and that again is a mandatory requirement, is that the assessing officer shall provide an opportunity of being, this is very good, provide an opportunity of being heard to the assessee. Earlier, if you remember, assessing officer used to record reason, assessees used to be served notice under section 148, then the assessees were required to file their return of income in response to 148, then could have asked for the copy of the reason, and then the assessee could have known, oh, this is the reason and this is the material based upon which the reason has been recorded. But now that this kind of an exercise, that the assessee would be put on notice by issuing a notice by the assessing officer that here is the material, here is this information based upon and which suggests that income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment, and this is the inquiry which I have made, and the result of this inquiry also I am making it available for your comments, and opportunity of hearing will have to be, but then this opportunity also will have to be given by the assessing officer with the prior approval of the specified authority. So the legislature has sought to ensure that enough check and balance on the power of the assessing officer is maintained, so that there may obviate the possibility of any arbitrary exercise of this power of disturbing the finality of an assessment. Anyway, so opportunity is required to be provided by issuing the notice, in which 7 days time minimum time will be given, maximum time which can be given is 30 days. But then if an assessee says that he needs more time, then the assessing officer in his quasi judicial discretion then can grant a further time. And then assessing officer is bound to consider the reply of the assessee, if any, furnished in response to this notice. And then clause D says, then the assessing officer shall decide on the basis of the material available on record, on the basis of the inquiry which he made, after taking into account the reply and response which the assessee has submitted and furnished, an order, but of course this order will be passed by the assessing officer, though this will be a preliminary order, it will not be a final order, it will be an interlocutory order, it will be an intermediary order, or this will be an order in the interregnum, and but then this order can be passed by the assessing officer only after the receipt of the prior approval from the specified authority. So you kindly see that how many approvals now are required to be taken by the assessing officer in non-search cases, in non-132A cases. For under section 148 capital A, that day when I and Raj both were discussing and writing for about this new book which is coming, then we said that under the earlier provision of section 151, there used to be only one approval, and that section used to say that if this much of period of years has gone, then this will be the competent authority now who would accord approval, without whose satisfaction the notice under section 148 cannot be issued. Now the departmental authorities, or that assessing officer to be precise, under the old dispensation of section 151, now he used to find himself in a very difficult situation, and instances are not uncommon, rather they are aplenty, they are in abundance, where we litigating lawyers and litigating chartered accountants used to argue before the appellate authority, sir, this approval or this satisfaction recorded by the competent authority under section 151, I mean, is bereft of application of mine. And when there is palpable lack of application of mine, it is bereft of application of mine, and there are no reasons which have been given, howsoever brief those reasons may be in support of the approval accorded by the competent authority, and therefore such approval or such satisfaction is not an approval or is not a satisfaction in the eyes of law, and therefore the very issuance of notice under section 148 may please be declared as nullity. And there are umpteen number of decisions, right from Chuggamal Rajpal 79 ITR 603, and there are whole lots of decisions. Now when the assessing officer now earlier could not navigate or negotiate or could overcome from one approval, now there are spate and approvals after approvals. This is good for the lawyers like us and practicing chartered accountants like you, because And I tell you, now this section 148 capital A now would be a section which will nail in the coffin of this provisions of assessment and reassessment under section 140 and 140. But then 148 in provision now will have to be followed invariably in cases other than the search cases. Because why is it not applicable to the search cases? Now that has been given by way of a proviso. But then why search cases or the requisitioned cases have been treated with this kind of contempt, if I am permitted to use this expression? I mean, there is no rationale or justification. There may be one, and that may be that in case of a person searched, now the recce or the investigation or the reason to believe which is formed by an authority, I mean, who are the competent authority under section 132(1). Now they are those authorities, and this kind of an exercise must have been done at that stage. May not be inquiry by seeking participation of an SSE, but then the kind of investigation and inquiry have been made by the departmental authorities before the warrant of search could have been issued, and therefore legislature, it appears, though nothing is coming out, it appears has sought to dispense with the requirement of section 148 capital A in case of the search SSE. So in case of other SSEs, this order, preliminary order, now will be passed by the assessing officer, and then this order along with the notice under section 148, now both will go to an SSE in the non-search cases. And that 148 notice again is required to be issued only after obtaining the prior approval of the specified authority. So you can very well imagine that the assessing officers on or after 1/4/2021 trying to resort to section 147 and 148 in non-search cases will have to be bombarded and bulldozed by the spate of approvals. But be that as it may, the legislature in its wisdom has sought to enact this kind of a provision. So this notice under section 148 along with this order will be served on the SSE. The SSE would be required to file a return in response to the notice 148, and then thereafter the process of reassessment or the assessment, depending upon if a person has not been assessed earlier, then it would be called assessment. If one has already been assessed, then it will be called reassessment. Now that will begin. But then this explanation, which has been appended to section 148, and a brief reference of which I made a little while ago while discussing the reason to believe under the erstwhile section 147. Now, explanation 1 to section 148 says that no notice under section 148 will be issued to an SSE unless the assessing officer is in possession of the information that suggests that income chargeable to tax is escaped assessment. Earlier, the reason to believe was the word which was interpreted by the courts, and the interpretation of the courts were that if an assessing officer cannot be said to have had reason to believe unless he was having the material with him. That material must be more than mere gossip, humor, or hunch. It must not be bare suspicion or conjecture. That material must be having nexus with the belief of escapement of income, and that nexus must be live nexus. So, but these were evolved and interpreted by the courts. Now the legislature under explanation 1 to section 148 has to codify two circumstances in which it can be said that here is the information that suggests that income chargeable to tax is escaped assessment. The first is that when any information is flagged in the case of the SSE for the relevant assessment year based upon the risk management strategy made by the board. But then what is the risk management strategy as on date? I mean, nothing is in public domain. But then it appears that the board will flag certain informations based upon the risk management strategy, maybe by using the artificial intelligence, maybe based upon information received by the income tax department from the various sources, as all of us know that under section 285BA. Now, various authorities are required to report transactions to the tax authority. So, based upon the risk management strategy, now which will be made by the board having regard to the various parameters into consideration, and then some information may be flagged by the board, and on the basis of that information which suggests that income chargeable to tax as escaped assessment, the case can be reopened by the assessing office. There may be parameter that if there are deposits beyond a particular threshold in the bank account of a person, that may be the deposit in the form of the cash deposit or in the form of any deposit, or if a particular amount or any amount more than the threshold has been withdrawn in cash from a person's bank account in a particular year, then that can also be flagged information. Because if a person in a particular year is withdrawing in cash, then there may well be a very strong possibility of the kind of things which I'm referring, and which my well-informed audience, can very well speculate, gesticulate, estimate. The second information which can be said to be suggesting escapement of income, now which is given in section 148 explanation 1, is that any final objection of the CAG that the assessment in the case of this SSC for this year has not been made in accordance with law. Now, the scope of information under this clause has been widened and has not been confined only with reference to the escaped income. So, if the final objection of the CAG says that in case of this SSC for this assessment year, the assessment has not been made in accordance with law, and that may be for n number of reasons. That may not merely be on the basis that the income has escaped assessment. There may be something more. Income may have been assessed, but then the tax rate which ought to have been applied may not have been applied. Suppose income may have been assessed under section 68. In any case, that income has not escaped assessment, but then the tax rate which ought to have been applied under section 115 BBE, now probably that was not applied, and therefore if we go by the literal reading of the main provision in section 147, that says if an income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. So in that situation, this income which has been assessed now cannot be said to have escaped assessment. Income has not escaped assessment. All that what has been done is that that income or the tax on this income now has been or has not been levied in accordance with the law. So this clause where the CAG can object that the assessment of a person for this year has not been made in accordance with law, there can be n number of reasons on the basis of which CAG can say that the assessment has not been made in accordance with law. Now, Tarun from the taxman, he referred that under the earlier provisions of law that the audit objections could not have formed the basis for reopening the assessment. Now, with utmost respect, I would say that was partially correct insofar as the interpretation of law based upon which the assessing officer, interpretation of law made by the audit team based upon which the assessing officer reopened the assessment, now could not have led to the reopening of an assessment. But then if some factual information is brought to the notice by the audit team to the assessing officer, then that material could have been taken into account by the assessing officer for forming the belief as to the escapement of income. And explanation 2, as I said, in case of search or in case of the requisition or in case of this third person whose books of accounts etc. have been found in search, now there is a presumption of the redeeming fiction that preceding 3 years assessments will be reopened on this premise, on this fiction, on this deeming fiction that there was information that suggested escapement of income. But one more person has been covered for this kind of a situation, and that is a person who has been surveyed under section 133A. But then the survey should not be for mere verification of the TDS or TCS, or it should not be merely for the purpose of verification of the expenditure during the performance of any marriage or ceremony under subsection 5 or section 133. So if a person has been surveyed under section 133 capital A, then also that person who has been surveyed, now there is a presumption, there is a deeming fiction under explanation 2 to section 148, which says that it will be deemed in respect of the preceding 3 years as if there is information which suggests that income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. So not only in case of search, not only in case of requisition, but also in case of a surveyed person also, his 3 preceding years assessment will mandatorily be open, irrespective of the fact whether the survey has thrown any adverse material or not. So, because after all, our Income Tax Act is full of fictions, and legislature, by virtue of its sovereign power, by remaining within the confines of the constitutional provisions, now enacts such kind of fictions. I mean, then they can make, and not only do they make, and not only can they make, but then they get away by making it. I would say it on the lighter side. So now 149, and then later on I'll take questions, because the questions are quite interesting, and that will cover the entire gamut. Anyway, so 149, for how many years the cases can be reopened? Now, if you remember that under the old section 149, there were 3 time limits: 4 years, 6 years, and 16 years. Now, 16 years time limit was made by Finance Act 2000 only in respect of the foreign assets. Now, those 16 years time limit now has been dispensed with under the new section 149, and this is ostensibly for this reason, that in respect of the foreign assets, now the Black Money Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets and Imposition of Tax Act 2015 now is the act now which will take care of such kind of foreign assets or undisclosed foreign income, and that too without any limitations in any respect. And me and Dr. Raj are writing nowadays our 3rd book on black money law, and the more we go into it deeper, I mean, more we find that this is a classic act, a Black Money Act, where there is scant regard for any limitational conditions, for any jurisdictional conditions. Everything is open-ended. But anyway, that is not the subject matter of today's discussion. So 16 years time limit, which was there under the SOL section 149, now is no longer there. Now the time limit for reopening of the assessment is 3 years and 10 years. So for 3 years, in case of the non-search case, if there is escapement of income based upon the information suggesting escapement of income, now of any amount, case can be reopened. In case of search, in case of survey, in case of requisition, in case of the 3rd person, preceding 3 years cases will be reopened on this premise that there was information suggesting escapement of income. But then beyond 3 to 10 years, whether it is a case of search, it is a case of survey, or it's case of a normal assessment, then there are twin requirements. And the first requirement is that assessing officer believes in assessing officer on the basis of books of accounts, documents, or evidence in his possession which reveals that escaped income or the likely escaped income is with 50 lakhs or more. Only then the case beyond 3 years up to a period of 10 years from the end of the assessment year can be reopened. This is the first prerequisite. The second prerequisite is that such escaped income or likely escaped income must be represented by asset. Now this later phrase, that it must be represented by asset. Now if it is a conscious decision on the part of the legislature, then I would say, and I would salute the magnanimity of the heart of the legislature, because if that escaped income or likely escaped income may be of any amount, but then it is not represented by asset, then that case cannot be reopened. And I tell you, when we both were deliberating on the issues, then we found that those additions or the disalliances which are made on technical considerations, like under section 50C, or for that matter under section 222E, or for that matter any deduction wrongly claimed under chapter 6A, or for that matter any disalliance under section 43B, or any disalliance under section 40A IA. Now all these additions, disalliances of the instances given by me, now there may well be the escapement of income more than 50 lakhs of rupees because of all these things. But then these disalliances or this escaped income cannot be said to be represented by asset. And therefore, if a person has claimed, say, dubious deduction or some excessive deduction under chapter 6A, and it goes unnoticed beyond 3 years, then that assessee can say that even if there was escapement of income, but then this excessive deductions cannot be said to be represented by asset. And the asset has come to be defined by them. And though in an inclusive manner, the asset shall include immovable property, being land or building or both, shares and securities, loans and advances, deposits in bank account. But then if it is a cash simpliciter, anyway, I'm not on that aspect, but then though this definition is inclusive definition. So what I wish to say that I have not been, at least me and Raj have not been able to fathom, appreciate, this kind of change of heart or the magnanimity of heart on the part of the legislature, to qualify that escaped amount of income with the representation of such escaped income from the asset. But then be that as it may, the legislature, and then it should be represented by asset at which point of time, whether in that year to which this income belongs or the year in which the assessing officer comes to know about it, and then thinks in terms of issuing notice under section 140. The law is silent, and if the law is silent, then obviously it is capable of being interpreted in more than one way. And then when a particular section is capable of being interpreted in more than one way, and more particularly for a situation which is seeking to disturb the finality of a concluded assessment, then which way that interpretation has to be made. Now we can make out, because as I said in the beginning, that the philosophy that law attaches greatest sanctity to the finality of an assessment, and therefore when that finality is sought to be disturbed, then the legislature contemplates, visualizes, and envisages that the jurisdictional conditions must be unscrupulously adhered to. And when it comes to the interpretation of any provisions, then obviously that has to be interpreted strictly in terms of the language which has been employed by the legislature, and that is what is called the rule of literal interpretation. Anyway, so 151 is the section now which defines as to who will be the specified authority. So under section 148A, we have seen the role of the specified authority. Under section 148, we have seen the role of the specified authority. But then who will be the specified authority? The two categories of the specified authority. So if the reassessment is relating to the year, which is within the 3 year or lesser than 3 years from the end of the relevant assessment year, then also the principal commissioner, principal director, or the commissioner or the director will be specified authority. But then if the case which is sought to be reopened relates to a year which is beyond 3 years from the end of the relevant assessment year up to 10 years from the end of the relevant assessment year, then principal chief commissioner or the principal director general. And if either of them is not available, then principal chief commissioner or the principal director general, or the chief commissioner or the director general. So you can very well imagine and say that the legislature has sought to put a control, at least on paper, by designating these senior ranking officials as the specified authority, because there is a presumption, if not in law, but then in practice, that as a person grows in stature in the hierarchy, then as he moves up, then the law assumes, presumes, deems that he will be more objective, fair, judicious, conscientious, reasonable. So probably, this is that. So new provisions of, in case of search, new provisions other than search, this law is different because the reason to believe now is not there. Therefore, because I have seen, and so must have you, that despite very good material in possession of the assessing officer in yesteryears, in earlier years, the assessing officers, if was not competent enough to have written the reason to believe, then also, because ultimately the reason to believe which has come to be recorded now used to act as the barometer with reference to which now it will be seen by either the appellate court or the writ court whether the assessing officer can be said to have formed the reason to believe or not. So now by replacing it, that reason to believe, earlier, I mean, that was opaque, that was somewhat non-transparent, if I am permitted to say so. Now by providing two clear-cut, ostensible, codified instances, that final objection CAG and the information flagged by the board, now the legislature probably has sought to lighten its burden, and at the same time has sought to convey that there is some objective material against a person, and therefore we cannot say in one liner that whether the earlier provision was good or this provision is good, or this provision or earlier provision was bad or this provision is bad. So reason to believe information suggesting escapement of income, prerequisites before issuing notice under section 140 that we have discussed, and rationale for change in such assessment procedures as Rajesh has spoken. Now there are lots of questions, and many of those questions are because of this period from 1st April to 30th June, whereby the notices of assessment year 2013-14 and 2014-15 in normal circumstances would have gone barred by limitation. Though Tarun also made a brief reference, and but then that most respect, I would say that these notices, on this basis that they have been issued belatedly, cannot be said to be invalid. Now they can be said to be invalid for the reason that the procedure of section 148 capital A in non-such cases ought to be followed, now based upon which the Bombay High Court had given the stay petition. But then I always say that many times our SSEs, and assisted by the councils, I mean, tend to jump the gun. Now I ask a question, I mean, to that SSE who had approached to Bombay High Court. Now if the department, now having been made wiser, now says, okay, let me withdraw that notice under section 148. Now by making inquiry under 148A, giving you 7 days time and confronting you this material to you, and then passing an order under 148D, and then issuing notice under section 148 for assessment year 2013-14 and 14-15, then I want to ask the question from that SSE who has jumped the gun, I mean, what kind of mileage, I mean, he would have derived. So not only, I always say that it is not important to raise an objection, but then at which point of time, I mean, that objection should be raised is also equally important. So if the opponent now is made wiser, even to this extent that he can change his position and yet reinitiate the proceeding by removing, I mean, those kind of the lech or the negligence which you say, then what would happen? We would be back to the square one. Now, whether that was the objective, can that be the objective? Should that be the approach? Now, this is a question which I leave, because I have seen that my chartered accountant friends, my lawyer friends, the SSEs, I mean, they would not, they would do anyway. I mean, that is their wisdom. So now let us take the questions and how to go to these questions. Yes, chat. So I mean, it has to start from good evening to all. So Tony, this question, Aniruddha Modi sir. Good evening to everybody. Thanks to taxman. Okay. Naveen Khariwal, writ petitions filed against 140 recently and results. Now I have told you the result of Armado, 3rd June 2021 interim order which has been passed by the Bombay High Court, and I have told you, I mean, the things associated with this kind of over adventurism. Then good evening Sanjay Gupta ji, Hemant Jadia, very healthy good evening. Yes, Moti Totlani sir. Notice under section 148 for assessment year 2013-14 issued on 26th May 2021 under old provisions. Okay, can they issue fresh notice for same recorded reasons under new provisions No, under new provisions, assessment year 2013-14 has become barred. Because if you read the first proviso to section 149, it says that a notice which could not be issued under the earlier section 149 cannot be issued under the new provisions, even if the time limit has been enlarged to 10 years. Now 13-14 under the old provision is being issued on or after 1st April till 30th June under an explicit power taken by the board under taxation and other laws, relaxations of provisions act 2020, section 3, subsection 1, read with the notification issued on 31st March, then notification issued on 27th April. Therefore, let us not mix these two laws. So assessment year 13-14 notice under the old law is valid because it has been issued on the basis of that amendment act, relaxations amendment act. But then if 13-14 assessment year notice is sought to be issued under the new law, no, I mean that is not permissible because it could not be issued. Kindly read first proviso to section 149 of the new law. Yes, this is Bhuvnesh Kankani. Period of maintaining, very good question. Period of maintaining books of account as per rule 6F is 6 years, unless reassessment is open. Now I will stop here, and I want to ask a question to Kankani sir. Now, where from you have got this law in case of a non-professional? That period of maintaining books of account as per rule 6F is 6 years. As per rule 6F, which is applicable to the professional. But then in case of a person carrying on business or the non-specified profession who are covered under section 44AA subsection 2, rule 6F is not applicable on them. Then where from are you getting that the 6 years is the time limit for retaining the books of account? Or when that is an implicit law that is not there in rule 6F. Of course, 6F is there in case of the professional. So SSC as on 31/3/2020 destroyed books for assessment year 2013-14. No, he was not supposed to have destroyed the books before the closing hours of 31st March 2020. And before the closing hours of 31st of 2020, there came the ordinance, taxation, other laws, relaxations of the provisions, ordinance 2020, and according to which the time limit was extended to 30th June 2020. Therefore, to say that on 31st March 2021 destroyed the books, no. This act is akshamya. I mean, it cannot be condoned. Yes.
May just that after amended provision of section 148, where powers have been given up to 10 years for reopening of the cases. So in the case of professionals, they will have to keep books up to 10 years. So rule 6F to that extent has to be amended.
Yes, that has to be amended. Yes. Since he had not received any 148 notice as on 31/3/2020, now in February 2021, SSC received notice 148. How will that SSC prove his claim? So I have already given reply that his action or destruction of books even before the expiry of the statutory time limit, I mean, he cannot take shelter because of the ordinance. Ranganathan Ravichandran sir, the words appearing in new law in section 148 mentions the words if required. Whether the procedure I have already dealt with. So it is not discretionary, sir. If required means that in case of a person other than the searched person. Because if it is a case of an SSC who has been searched or who has been requisitioned, then 148A is not required. So if required doesn't mean the discretion to the assessing officer. It is talking of a situation whether assessing officer now is dealing with a case of a non-searched person or a searched person. Next is V.S. Jayakumar sir. V.S. Jayakumar sir, reason to believe, does it constitute information? I mean, of course, Jayakumar sir, if you read the interpretations right from Calcutta Discount Company 41 ITR 191, I mean, since then, even much water has flown in Ganges in all these years, yet I mean, for reason to believe, first of all, there has to be material. And that material, that information, I mean, courts have said that material may be based on information, but then it has to be more than mere gossip, rumor, or hunch. It must be more than mere suspicion or conjecture. It must be more than mere suspicion. If you remember that even under section 132, the legislature has used the expression of the main section that based upon an information, if a competent authority has reason to believe. So information is not just like the rumor. Information, which is the credible information. Credibility of the information is implicit. It may not be conclusive, but then the threshold, the benchmark is that a person who is in receipt of information by exercising a dispassionate and objective approach now says yes, oh, if this is the information, so that is the benchmark. Rajesh Mal, can both old as well as new scheme. So if I am permitted, can I take a water, please? Delhi is very hot. Can both old as well as new scheme operate simultaneously? It is not operating simultaneously. I'll explain it. That is a misconception. Whether notice issued under section 148, which was extended to 30th June 2021 hona chahiye. I think it's, I mean, Rajesh, you have probably wrongly typed 19. Is a valid notice as per the new scheme is also in operational with effect of 1/4/2021. And the new scheme has not been made operative with effect from 1/7/2021 by the same amendment. No. I mean, first of all, let me clarify. Now, new provisions have come into effect on and from 1st April 2021. Let us be very clear on it. So, any reopening done on or after 1st April 2021 can be made only under the new provisions of law. This is the first statement. It's not complete. Now, assessment year 2013-14 and 2014-15. So, assessment year, let us take first of all 2013-14. Now, assessment year 2013-14 even under the old law would have become barred by limitation on 31st March 2020. But then came the ordinance because of the pandemic. That ordinance was culminated into the act. Now, under that act, the date was extended up to 31st March 2021. So, for assessment year 13-14, under the old law, because of the ordinance and subsequent amendment act, the last date became 31st March 2021. Assessment year 14-15 under the old law, for that also 31st March 2021 was the last date. So on 1st April 2021, all these 13-14 and 14-15 would have become barred by limitation under the old law. And new law, they could not have been issued because of first proviso to section 149 new. Now 13-14, 14-15 issued under the old law now were given a fresh lease of life because of the notification dated 31st March 2021. And that notification had got the legal validity under the Taxation and Other Laws Relaxation of Provisions Amendment Act 2020. So, on 1st April 2021, only the new law is in operation. Old law or the notices issued under old law for 13-14 and 14-15 now have been given a fresh lease of life. So, only the notices have been issued under the old law on or after 1st April 2021. Not beyond that. No, those provisions would apply. So let us be very clear that in this period, two laws are not applicable. Now, one notices 13-14, 14-15 because it has been termed as completion of an action of the issuance of notice under that Amendment Act. And that has been extended to be completed by 30th June. That's all. Then Naveen Khariwal sir, gold jewelry found say of 650 grams in 1718. Now, will it be undisclosed asset? And how to tax the same? At what rate? No, I mean, Naveen sir, 650 grams. Suppose if there are husband and wife, or there is one child, then even by the board's instructions of 11th of May 1994. Now it cannot be said to be undisclosed by any standard. Right from Gujarat High Court, Ratan Lal Vyapari Lal, Nina Sayal, Chandigarh bench. I mean, there are lots of Ratan Lal Vyapari Gujarat High Court. So 500 gram for married lady, 250 grams for unmarried lady, 100 gram for a male member. So 650 grams in 1718. If the family consisted of husband, wife, and one child, then that comes within that limit, and therefore even the belief cannot be formed. But then, if it is a case of survey, or if it is a case of search, then preceding 3 years assessment, I mean, can be reopened on this basis that there was information suggesting escapement of income, whether actual escapement of income is detected or not. V.S. Jayakumar, yes, very good question. Section 150. Cases where section 150 was operable, then can they reopen beyond 6 years? Very good question. So, under section 150, now section 150 has got 2 subsections. Now, subsection 1, first of all, removes all limitations, whereas subsection 2 brings back the limitation on subsection 1. So, what is subsection 1, first of all? 150 subsection 1 says that there is no time limit for the issue of notice under section 148 in order to give effect to any finding, direction contained in any order passed by any authority in any proceeding under this act or under some other act. So if there is any finding or direction given by any authority under this act or by any other authority under any other law, then in order to give effect to that finding or direction, then it has to be finding or direction. Now what can be said to be finding or direction? That itself is a million-dollar question, and it has been subject matter of very intense litigation. So let us assume that there is a finding or direction, in any of these orders. So in order to give effect to the finding or direction, there is no time limit. But then subsection 2 says that the order in which the direction is given or that finding is given. Now before that authority, which was the subject matter of order, and if the subject matter of that order, now on that date, whether that case could have been reopened or not, that will determine. So suppose now tribunal gives a finding and the order of the tribunal, say, is passed today. Today is, say, 10th of June 2021, and tribunal says that this income belongs to, say, assessment year 1340 or 1213, let us assume 1213. So first of all, section 150 subsection 1 says that this finding can be given effect to irrespective of the time limit. So as per subsection 1, assessment year 1213 case can be reopened based upon the finding recorded by the tribunal. But subsection 2 says that which is the subject matter of appeal before the tribunal. The subject matter of appeal before the tribunal is the CIT appeal order. Now CIT appeal order, suppose, has been passed, say, on 1st of January 2021. Let us assume. Now the question comes whether on 1st January 2021 the case for assessment year 1213 could have been reopened as per the then prevailing provisions of law. No, because section 1213 assessment has become barred on 31st March 2019. Therefore, even if there is a direction of the tribunal in June 2021, but because of this limitation of subsection 2, that which is the subject matter of appeal before the tribunal, now whether on that date that case could have been reopened or not, only then that case can be reopened. So depending upon the facts, Mr. Jayakumar, I would request you to kindly analyze it with reference to each practical instance. B.R. Kaushal sir is PTBA, Punjab Tax Bar Associations, which is the umbrella organization. Uske president hai. He is very respected figure. V.S. Jayakumar, what is meaning of issue of notice? What is the meaning of issue of notice? Now, issue of notice and the service of notice. A notice can be said to be issued because under section 149, the jurisdiction to reopen is assumed the moment a notice is issued. The jurisdiction to pass reassessment order is assumed when such issued notice is served. Therefore, issuance of notice means when the notice goes out of the control of the assessing officer. So earlier, nowadays, the issuance of notice is at the click of the mouse. Earlier, when the notice used to be dispatched by way of registered post, then the notice, used to be said to have been issued the time that it goes out of the control of the assessing officer. And when assessing officer is not in positions to take it back, then the courts have said that it can be said to be issued. V.S. Jayakumar, and you want to see the distinction between the issue and service, then Mr. Jayakumar, I would say you to kindly read 166 ITR 163, Supreme Court's decision. The name I have, it has just slipped out of my mind. Finding or direction given in some other case, can 148 be issued without time frame? No. 150, the finding or direction contained in an order passed by any authority. Yes, I have seen that direction of finding given in a person's order now even can be given effect to, but then of course subject to the observance of the jurisdictional condition section 148. But then courts have said such direction or finding must be that finding or direction which were essential for the disposal of that case. So there are umpteen amount of jurisprudence available on it. And V.S. Jayakumar sir keh rahe hain, can the audit reopen on matter of law? Yes, I dealt with this 119 ITR India Eastern newspapers case was on the interpretation of law. But now the legislature in its wisdom now has treated the instance of the Comptroller and Auditor General giving final objection. Then it has given. Now, all those decisions which were there earlier were in the context of reason to believe. But now, information suggesting escapement of income has been codified, has been given a meaning. And therefore, even if the CAG in its final objection now is bringing it to the notice of the assessing officer that in view of this law, the assessment cannot be said to be in accordance with law, then at least for the purpose of reopening, what can be the ground or grouse of an SSE? The legislature has given this kind of a power to the CAG, and when an authority of the level of CAG now is raising final objection that the assessment has not been made in accordance with law, then first of all, it is not final insofar as the fastening of the tax liability on the SSE is concerned, number one. Number two, then CAG, and which is the custodian under our constitution, final objection, and therefore that final objection given by the CAG, cannot be just in the air, just cannot be a vacuum, and therefore we'll have to concede at least to this extent to the wisdom of CAG that even if they have interpreted the law, let us assume that they must have interpreted the law on the basis of cogent basis, and if that is the cogent basis for interpretation, and if on that basis the law says that it will be treated as information suggesting escapement of income, then how can all those laws be pressed? According to me, no. S.L. Gupta sir, Naveen Khariwal, whether provision 140 will apply to survey year? No. 148A says the year for which the reassessment 148 has to be issued. So this year in which the survey has taken place, will invariably be selected for normal scrutiny, and therefore 148A will not apply qua that year. Whether 148A will apply to beyond 3 years of such? Yes, of course. No, sorry. In case of search, 148A is completely ruled out. In case of search or 132A, 148A is clearly ruled out, whether 3 years or beyond 3 years.
But Rakesh, in the case of survey, 148A is to be given.
Yes.
It has to be complied with, even for 3 years also.
That we have, if you remember,
it would mean that in the case of survey, first of all, there is a presumption that income has escaped assessment for the earlier 3 years. But I will put it in these words that this presumption is rebuttable presumption, for the reason that for issuing 148A, approval is to be taken from the higher authorities. Then for taking the approval, assessing officer and opportunities to be given to the assessee also, that what income has escaped assessment, he has to make his comments on that. So now the assessee would get the opportunity, and for approval also reasons will have to be recorded that income has escaped assessment. And if assessee is able to demonstrate that there is no income which has escaped assessment, so probably the notice can be dropped and further assessment proceedings may not be taken. That is the objective of entire 148A. Otherwise, what is the sanctity of this section?
No, you are right, but then I pondered over it. What would be the situation in case of survey, that if there is no adverse material is found, then what is the meaning of inquiry or passing an order under 148AD? Yes. So the very factum of survey which has taken place and which was in accordance with law. Now, if an assessee disputes that in his case the survey has not been taken or survey has not been taken place in accordance with law, and therefore this presumption of 3 years which is there now is not applicable, then so in case of a survey, there is a presumption or deeming fiction, not presumption but the deeming fiction, that there is information which suggests that income chargeable to tax has escaped assessment. The moment there is a survey, then there is a deeming fiction. But whether the survey has taken place or not, suppose if an assessee disputes, no, I mean the possibility of such kind of an argument, because if you remember, even under section 153 capital A, the condition precedent for issuance of 153 capital A was that there was a search. So here the condition has to be that there has to be survey, and therefore now approving authority also would like to see, the specified authority would also like to see now whether the conditions precedent for pressing this deeming fiction, I mean, is satisfied or not. And on that basis, maybe, I mean, there may not be any actual income which has escaped assessment, but then whether this deeming fiction has to be applied or not, I mean, to that extent, even the approving authority will also be we'll have to see. Naveen Khare, whether one will apply. Okay, Atul Puri sir, Atul sir, you always are there to encourage us. MR Govind Raju sir, notice issued to a wrongly allotted PAN with wrong status. The same was returned for cancellation, but no resolution. Now 148 notice issued to this inoperative PAN. How to go? Mr. Govind Raju, me and Dr. Raj, we do not practice on these procedural aspects as to how, I mean, you should, I mean, log on, I mean, to take care of such kind of situations. We would beg you pardon. Naveen Khariwal, whether income documents are must for search assessments in new regime? No. Now, if later on the courts come to interpret as they have interpreted section 153A, that unless in case of unabated assessment there has to be incriminating material found as a result of search, so that is a different matter. Otherwise, in case of search for preceding 3 years, there has not to be anything. Now that will be automatically reopened preceding 3 years. Nishit Bandari, very long question. Search conducted prior to 31st March 2021. Yes, this is very important. Kindly see, I mean, we should not get confused, and so therefore I am reading it. Search conducted prior to 31st March 2021. Materials transferred to the AO in case of a person other than the person searched after 31st March 2021. Under what provisions the assessments to be conducted? 153C or new 147? I will have a pause here and then I will say that the assessment will have to be done under section 153C, because it says that even in case of the other person, now that would be based on the search taking place on or before 31st March 2021. Now, as per amended provision of section 153C, the provisions shall not apply to search conducted prior to 31st March 2021. So, I am saying The same thing, provision shall apply to search conducted prior to, oh no, I mean, as per amended provision section 153C, the provision shall not apply, nahi. Provision shall apply to search conducted prior to 31/3/2021. Provision of section 153C refers date of search as on the date of receipt of material by the AO. So this interpretation, which some courts had taken, that in case of the other person, the handing over the material from the AO of the third person to the AO of the third person will be the date of search. I mean, that at most respect was not the correct understanding of law. And in any case, in 2017, even section 153C has been amended. And therefore, kindly read that amendment in section 153C, because after that amendment, in case of 153C, 6 preceding years from the date of actual search has to be seen. Therefore, that fiction which was interpreted in RRJ in Delhi High Court in 380 ITR at page 612, that is no longer a good law post 2017 amendment. In this case, hence, whether AO can make assessment under section 153C, he will have to make under section 153C. The amended provision 149 provides a time limit prescribed therein for issue of notice shall not apply to assessment under section. So the basic understanding of the law has to be in conformity with section 153A, section 149, and which says that any assessment of the searched person or the third person now is with reference to the date of search. So if the date of search is on or prior to 31/3/2021, then yes, there can be one case, and that one case is because of the faulty language which the legislature has used. Now kindly see explanation 2 to section 148 clause 3I and 4. Now it says if the assessing officer is satisfied with the prior approval of the principal commissioner that any money etc seized or requisition in case of any other person on or after 1st day of April 2021 belongs to the assessee. So now imagine a case where a search has taken place as on 31st March, but this money which belonged to Rakesh Gupta, say suppose search has taken place at the place of Dr. Raj on 31st March 2021. Now there was my cash which was there. Now that was seized on 2nd April 2021. Now with reference to me, since this seizure has taken place on or after 1st April 2021, maybe in connection with the search on or before 31st March 2021, my assessment will be done under 147, but then that is because of this faulty language. So if the seizure has taken place on or before 31st March 2021, then, and even if the search has crossed the limit of 31st March, say the search comes to an end, say 60 days, but then by 153C assessment, if the seizure has taken place on or before 31st March 2021, now will be made under 153C only. So this is perhaps the lapse, or I do not know, I mean what, but this is there. Yes, Edith Sharma, Naveen Khari was undisclosed land and building of 1718 found in course of search, value to be adopted of which year? So undisclosed in land or building of 1718. So income escaped or likely to have escaped now is with reference to the value under section 69 of that year only, because there is a fiction. And now you are saying that 1718 is the year when this land or building, I mean, was acquired or constructed or made. Therefore, I mean, this investment made in 1718, that will determine the quantum of escaped income. Dr. Rakesh Gupta is jewel in the crown of so nice of you. Nice. Then Kodanda Pani. Is it that every return of income who received notice under section 139(9) not rectified will be followed by 148? Yes, this can be the reason, depending upon whether this is also flagged based upon the risk management strategy by the board. If it is there, then obviously. Or if CAG now gives final objections in respect of this person, that this return and was the defective return and therefore was non-est return and therefore be ignored, meaning thereby this person has not filed the return and yet he was having income and which has escaped assessment, and therefore this assessment or the non-assessment cannot be said to be in accordance with law, and then can be reopened. Why not? Bijal Kumar Gandhi sir, notice 148 issued on the basis of the FIR filed by ACB in case of a family member of the government servant. Later the family members are discharged from charge in charge sheet filed. Do the yes, the validity of the reopening will have to be seen as on the date of recording the reason, and subsequent what has happened, they may have been discharged, that is not enough. Position has to be seen as on that date. Mr. I. Narayanan, explanation 1 to section 148, any information flagged in the case assessing how it is ascertained that the particular, so it will come, it is not in the public domain, so something will come, some objective criteria sought to be laid down by the legislature, then there has to be, you can ask for the later on in case, I mean, based upon this clause, some case is open, then you can always say, sir, kindly show us, I mean, what kind of information, on what basis has been flagged, kindly let us know. Kodanda Panida, cannot mens rea in reopening my AOB question in as much as the mens rea leads to penalties and no. Public officer discharging their public functions in the ordinary course of business, there is a presumption that they have acted in good faith. Section 148A gives the answer, sir, for the question I raised. Yes, later on, I mean, you can explain it. 148 is that purpose only. What is the thin line of difference in issuing notice 153, 153C and overlapping provisions, overlapping notices, overlapping persons, searched? No, 153A is done in case of a person searched. Now 153C read with section 153A is done in case of other person whose money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing belonging to him is found in search, or whose books of account or documents pertaining to him were found in search, or in those books of accounts or documents there is some information which relates to him. Then such person's assessment will be made under section 153C, but of course read with section 153. This is the difference. Books of account already accounted assets are being taken as an incriminating material. Where is the end to it, sir? Sir, you understand. Now, if you want to say, Mr. Pani, if I ask a counter question to you, if a person has taken accommodation entry and has invested in land and building, and then you want to say this land and building is appearing in the books of account, and therefore, I mean, we cannot put the cart before the horse. After all, the genesis of this land and building, that land or building may be appearing in the books of account, but the genesis is that unaccounted income which is found in the books, found place in the books, I mean, because of that accommodation or the change of color of money. Therefore, why not? For TDS and merit surveys, whether 148A provisions are applicable. 148A is applicable in respect of all surveys, whether it is merit survey, whether it is TDS, TCS survey, whether it is normal survey. 148A inquiry will have to be done in case of all surveys. Now, what has been provided in case of survey is that preceding 3 years presumption that there is information which suggests escapement of income. Can we file writ petition with High Court for asking for RMS? What is this RMS? As a risk management strategy formulated by CBDT in case the same is not shared with SS. Of course. Now, I mean, if something is made the criteria for disturbing the finality of an assessment, and you want to know, and you know, now incidentally, I may tell you, now you must read a decision argued by me, Joginder Pal Gulati versus Union of India. And that was the case where Mr. J.P. Gulati, who himself was a retired officer, now he applied to the assessing officer for supplying him the scrutiny guidelines. That was denied to him. Then he moved RTI. That was denied to him. Then he went to the National Commission. That was denied to him. We had to go to the High Court, Delhi High Court. And then the Delhi High Court gave directions to give the scrutiny guidelines and then gave directions to the government to advertise the scrutiny guidelines every year. And therefore, in every year when there will be scrutiny guidelines, you will find one caption which is appearing there that these guidelines are being made public based upon the decision of the Delhi High Court in the case of Joginder Pal Gulati. So now if there is some risk management strategy now which is being used in order to disturb the finality of an assessment, then of course I'm entitled to have a copy of it. Deven Shah, sir, how many questions are more? Whether new reassessment and assessment provisions are applicable from which assessment year? What to do? 148 notice for 1718 received without. Your question is not complete, Deven Shah, sir. Muskan Sethia ji, what to do when notice 140 is received without issuance of notice under 148A? Should we file return against notice under section 148? First of all, you see whether your SSC is a person who has been searched, whether your SSC is a person with respect to whom a requisition has been issued, whether your SSC is a person whose money, books, money, bullion, jewelry, books, accounts, documents have been found at somebody else's search. If that is the case, then obviously 148A has not to come. But then if yours is a case where and it has been issued on or after 1st April 2021, then hold on, argue it before the appellate authority, because if you make him aware at this stage, then I have already dealt this issue. So let us raise the legal issues at which point of time. I mean, this is very important, Muskanji.
I can add one thing.
Yes.
So as this question is concerned, and why this question has been put, because for assessment year 17-18, 31st March 21 is the time barring limit if the escapement of income is less than 50 lakhs as per the amended provision of the Act. Therefore, if 17-18 case is to be reopened, it cannot be reopened as per the new law. But when the time limit has been extended till 30th of June, then as per the old law, this case can be reopened.
I beg to differ. Only those actions.
This is exactly what I am saying. That as per the old law, the caution is this only, that as per the new law, it is time barred. As per the old law, whether it can be reopened. So, I say that it cannot be reopened as per the old law also, because the time limit of 31st March 21 is expiring only for assessment year 13-14 and 14-15. Only those years cases can be reopened till 30th June as per the extended time limit for the old law. Otherwise, the cases for assessment year 15-16 onwards can be reopened after 31st March 21 till 31st March 22 and henceforth. Therefore, as per the new law only these can be reopened. But 17-18, if the escapement of income is less than 50 lakhs, then certainly it cannot be reopened. If it is more than 50 lakhs and it is represented by a set, only then it can be reopened.
Vandana Sarda madam is asking name of Supreme Court case. I have not been able to follow which. If you are asking for GK and drive shaft, then 259 ITR 19 is the citation. I do not know which Supreme Court cases you are referring, madam. Sham Sundar Lohia, under new regime, AO shall first notice under section 148A giving information suggesting reopening. SSC files his submissions, objections for same. AO issued notice under section 148 attaching order 148A rejecting SSC's objection. Sir, will the same analogy followed by AO in final assessment, whatever SSC submits with further risk of roving, searching inquiries on other issues? Now, your question, Lohia sir, is not clear. Probably your question is that whether assessing officer can make roving inquiries with respect to the other issues other than the issues which are covered either by the reason to believe or now by the information suggesting escapement of income. So he can bring to tax any income in respect of an issue which has escaped assessment. So whether he would like your participation in the inquiry to be made by, the law is very fluid in this situation. And of course, I can say only one thing, which I and Rajji both have found out, that burden to prove that this is an income in respect of this issue which is escaped assessment is on the shoulders of the assessing officer. Now, whether he finds out that income which is escaped assessment on the basis of roving inquiries, or by making a pointed inquiry, or by asking you to participate in the inquiry, I mean, that we would not like to comment. How far RTI stand in a way of section 148A? So RTI is always there, whether 148A or 148 or for that matter anything. Please name again Supreme Court case how far RTI is. Yes, Jay Kumar sir has mentioned, Vandana ji, 259 ITR 19 GK and drive shaft. Naveen Khariwal's satisfaction whether to be recorded in 153C type of cases under new regime. Yes, because if you read, assessing officer is satisfied with the prior approval of the principal commissioner that any money etc. belongs. Yes, he will have to put it up his satisfaction to the principal commissioner or commissioner with respect to this fact that this money etc. books etc. relating to this person have been found in case of that in case of that person on search on such and such date. Only then so satisfaction will have to, but then the satisfaction only will be with reference to that money etc. have been found, books of etc. pertaining to him have been found, or the informations contained in these books of account relate to him. But whether that information or the asset represents the undisclosed income, now satisfaction has not to be, I mean, on those lines. अभी कितना और बचा है ये तो, ओहो, हाँ. There are lots of questions. Nishit Bhandari sir's question, Debrata. Okay, I mean, let me try to answer some more. Yes, OP Singhania sahab, अरे Singhania sahab तो पूछ लेना रायपुर से. Notice issued under section 148 for SS 1314, whereas SSE company was before settlement commission for that assessment year, and honorable settlement commission passed order accepting income offered. So Singhania sahab, if income tax settlement commission has accepted the income of a year, now whether that year becomes immune even if some income has escaped assessment or some income has not been disclosed before the income tax settlement commission, so that depends upon the facts. Now we cannot use it as a blanket proposition that if the settlement for a particular year has been accepted by the settlement commission, there cannot be any escapement of income. I mean, there can be. Mansi Smart, reassessment notice for 14-15 issued on 25th of May 21. Whether old provision would apply or new provision of 148 would apply. I would say notice under section 148 would be issued, but then according to my reading, it should be issued after observing the inquiry of section 148A. Naveen Khariwal, please share number of Dr. Rakesh Gupta. It is there in our book, which is coming very soon, 7th edition, authored by me and by Dr. Raj, assessment of search cases and law relating to search and seizure. In this week, this will come, and our telephone numbers, email ID, Naveen Khariwal sir is there. Sanjeev Mehrotra sir, department issued notice under section 154, but order could not be passed after reply of the SSE. Can notice under section 148 now be issued for assessment year 13-14? So your question has got two limbs, Sanjeev ji. First of all, assessment year 13-14 notice, if there is reason to believe under the old law, can be issued on or after 1st April 2021 also. But since in your case notice under section 148 was issued, there are a couple of decisions coming from the tribunal, though personally speaking, I may not agree with that. But then since as an arguing counsel, I have taken help of those decisions in which say that if a notice under section 154 has been issued on a particular point, then 147 cannot be issued. So personally, I may not agree with that proposition, but then there are tribunal's decision, and I and Somil, Dr. Rasan, I mean, we both have argued matter before the tribunal. Can AIR information compliance portal constitute information? for satisfaction for search. Sir, for conducting the search, only availability of information is not enough. If you remember, there is subsection 132, subsection 1, clause A, B, C. The satisfaction or the material has to be with reference to clause A, clause B, clause C. Clause A says that the notice under section 131 or 142(1) have been issued asking for you to produce certain books of accounts on a day to be appointed the notice, and the date has gone, but then you have not come. Second is, if the notice has been issued, the date of compliance has not come, or even if the notice may not have been issued, but the notice, if issued, would not be complied with. And the third is that if a person is in possession of any money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or thing which has not been disclosed, or which would not have been disclosed, and which represents income on which tax has not been paid, then there is material with respect to either one or more of them, then the competent authority can issue warrant of search. Mohit, for November 2020, search VL 6. I mean, this I am not able to understand this kind of language. I mean, which you use on SMS or WhatsApp. For November 2020, search VL 6 years or 10 years. Search if 2026 years, but those 10 years will be when there is escaped income in respect of those 3 years, preceding 3 years, based up and is represented by asset. So if you read explanation under section 153A, and if there is a condition, then 10 years. Prafullu Kochar sir, insertion on News 148 is in favor of SSE and in the interest of nation building. Now I cannot say about the nation building, but definitely, I mean, it is in favor of the taxpayer. Okay, then ऊपर चलते हैं. हो गया, सिंघानिया साहब हो गए. Devbrat request the learned speakers if it's possible to elucidate these provisions by way of flow chart. Okay. Nishit Bhandari sir, proviso to section 153C reads as under: provided that in case of such other person, the reference to the date of initiation of search under section 132. Nishit Bhandari sir, the reading of this proviso deholds the first proviso to section 153 is bound to lead to miscarriage of justice. The meaning of this proviso under section 153C is only to this extent, which was with utmost respect grossly misread by Delhi High Court also. And in another case, I tried to point it out to my lords as he then was. Sir, 153A proviso says that on the date of search, if there are any other assessment which is pending, that will abate. Now, for that purpose, this proviso is there. It's not for any other purpose. So, if you read this proviso on a standalone basis, is bound to create confusion, which is there. You will have to read this proviso with reference to the proviso, second proviso to section 153A1, which is mentioned in this section. So, kindly read it again, Nishit ji. Oh, फिर आ गए और आ गए. Shiv Kumar Jha sir, can notice 142 issued for SS 1617 after 1/4/2021 under the new law? It can be issued if there is escapement of income of 50 lakhs or more is represented by SS. Then why not? Naveen Khariwal sir, I've been listening to Dr. Gupta since lockdown, and deliberation of knowledge are of highest quality. I have thoroughly enjoyed them. Thank you, Naveen ji. Thank you. Narendra Sheikh Saria, 148 notices. And I tell you, whatever I learn from my guru, Dr. Raj, I just speak. That's all. He is the brain, I am the tongue. That's all. Narendra Sheikh Saria, 148 notices after 1/4/2021 challenged Armada. Yes, I am not happy. I am not happy with the action of the assessing office, the action of the SSE. Thank you, sir. Mayank Mohanka. As the Honorable Supreme Judgment in Singer Technical and Delhi High Court decision Kabul Chawla mandating disclaimer incriminating material and unmerited assessments been nullified by substituting of such assessment in income escaping assessment. Sir, in Singad, probably you mean to say that their lordships, my Lord Justice Sikri as he then was, while authoring the decision, stated that not all 6 preceding years in case of the other person will be reopened, but only that year in which incriminating material has been found. Yes, to that extent, as of now, under section 148A or 148, since there is presumption or deeming fiction that preceding 3 years will be the year in which it will be deemed that income suggesting or information suggesting escapement of income now has been found. So to that extent, you can say that that has been diluted. Thanks a lot, sir, for the wonderful session. Bhavisha, Mayank, Mohan ka ho gaya. Narayan, wonderful deliberation, enjoyed. Thank you. Your such comments, I will motivate we both speakers. And we can tell you about this book on search and seizure, consisting even the new assessment provisions now are coming. Because of the pandemic, it has been delayed, 7th edition. And after that, we both are writing on the black money. We both are occupied in our professions neck deep, but then this pandemic has given us this opportunity to write book on even Black Money Act. So I think Balchandra sir, thank you. Devang Garge. Oh, so these are the thanks messages. To which both of us express our deep sense of gratitude and reciprocate it. So thank you, Tarun. If you are there, then you can wind up the proceedings.
Thank you, sir. This was really a wonderful session. I would like to thank Raj sir and Rakesh sir for enlightening us with their knowledge. I have raised, in fact, many issues in the introductory part, which Rakesh sir has clarified very well, be it the audit objections of the CAG or the recent Bombay High Court judgment. Sir has very well said that it is an adventurous move by the assessee in the Bombay High Court stay order. I am thankful to sir for this wonderful deliberation, and my best wishes to Raj sir and Rakesh sir for their upcoming book, that is 7th edition on law relating to search and seizure with new assessment scheme. If Raj sir can even say the few words about the book.
OP Singhania sir is saying that let me conclude with one small kavita written by you. So we'll do it on some other occasion. This is not the appropriate occasion. I do compose Hindi poems, so that is why probably my friend OP Singhania ji has written it.
That's great.
So thank you, Tarun. Thank you, everybody who is here. Thank you from me and my partner, Dr. Raj. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.